Hello, poor people. How are you today? Very quickly, I'm going to review the best investments you can make. The problem I have with this younger generation is we foolishly believe it's always going to be like this. So, because you're profiting $2,000, X amount here and there, you foolishly assume it's always going to be like this. It's funny because history is replete with examples of people who were here, then declined as a consequence of bad investment or no investment at all. You would think that the younger generation would look, discern, and correct this mistake, yet they end the opposite direction and fire on all four cylinders. If you repeat a mistake, you're the person who's twice as unwise because someone else has failed for you. When I was in college, I despised parties. I refused to waste my time on activities most college individuals would find interesting. For instance, young peasants aspire to go to college because it's a tinge of freedom. Finally, I can get my first tattoo. Finally, I get to go to the club, sleep out. They have this long list of hedonism to check off. It's very unfortunate. But I've listened to 9 to 5ers, I've listened to failures who have wasted their life. And this issue of your youth is always brought up. Invest your youth wisely. Find something you love doing. Find a skill. Every single person would listen to that teaching, be inspired by it, or at least be entertained enough to see it through. And they do absolutely nothing. The same way you listen to me, you concur I'm a phenomenal speaker, I'm intelligent, I'm obviously successful to a degree because I truly believe your results in any sphere is what gives you authority to address matters. If you don't have a business, I would not take business advice from you because it's very easy to theorize concepts as a man thinketh, so it is. Or when everything is bad, stand up and say, I would not give up. It's very easy to make those audacious statements. But when push comes to shove, when truly you've invested in a business and you've seen little to no results, how do you handle that situation? I've been there, I've failed, I've been mocked, I've lost everything. I recall when I invested in a business, I took $2,000 to open up something like physical business. So the initial rent was 500. Then someone introduced me to a very profitable venture. It's called storage. So if you invest in this storage, it pays you weekly. And the idea being a Nigerian is even if eventually this stuff gets destroyed, at least after a month, you would have acquired more than your capital. So it sounded very interesting at the infancy. Unfortunately, the day I invested is the day the stock crashed. So I have nothing. I have nothing. I had to reach out to the landlord, the owner of the shop, and I told him what happened. Is there any way you can give me back my rent? He said there's no problem, but I have to find someone who would rent the shop. So by that time, my rent was already due. I had so many other expenses. It was hell. It was terrible. Yet, yet, after those experiences, let's not diverge. So the best investment you can make is the one you make in yourself. Some of you are so engulfed in the idea of buying this and buying that. There's this new thing I want to buy. Whereas it's attacking problems as opposed to finding the root cause. Life is cause and effect. Most of you wrestle with effects. You do not solve problems by solving problems. You solve problems by finding the or identifying the cause of the problem, providing solution, and therefore the effect melts like wax before sun. So the cheapest way to solve problems is by identifying the cause and providing solution. This girl left me, or I want to get this girl, so I need to make X purchase. My friends made fun of me, so I need to buy something to prove a point. It's a very stupid way to live your life because all you're doing is attributing your confidence to externalities. What happens when you lose all of that? Exactly, you lose the friends. So once people play around with concepts like when you have a lot of money or I have fake friends, whereas this is the mindset you sustain that attracted those individuals. You did not believe up until the point when you got a car that this quality of woman will be beside you. So if your mindset is hinged upon that one vehicle, it's most likely you would act in ways to produce that outcome. It's most likely she would see that the only value this man has to provide is this car. I've given you countless examples of how the mind works. If you sustain a belief, you would most likely act in order to produce that outcome. So belief need not be vocalized. All you need to do is sustain it, and you would act in ways that match that outcome. I'll give you an example. Let's say, as a man, you understand perfectly you are addressed the way you dressed. So this mindset would compel you to invest in your physical appearance. Now, there are various ways to go about this. Some people believe in purchasing luxury items. Some others believe in a more elegant way of dressing. So there are multiple ways to produce this outcome. But one thing is consistent, that you believe that dress the way you dress. Therefore, it compels you to act in accordance. If you believe you are poor and wealth doesn't come to people like you, it's most likely you will self-sabotage, not apply for promotions, think in a condescending manner of yourself, be isolated to a point whereby opportunities are not attracted. And if opportunities are not attracted, guess what? Exactly. So most times, your reality is not subject to the law of manifestation and closing your eyes to attract things. More so, it compels you to take actions in accordance to those belief systems. Thought leads to character. Character leads to habit. Habit produces action. Action produces results. Result determines the ultimate quality of your life. I believed I'm a millionaire. And that belief translated into actions. That action results that now governs my life. So in the business of wealth, it's not more so the it's not more so what you do, but who you are. The wealthy people today did not become billionaires more so by their product, but who they are. They were millionaires before they become millionaires. Every business you are failing at, someone else is profiting heavily. The difference is not the business. The difference is not necessarily the unavailability of capital, but who you are. So invest in yourself. At the infancy of my career, when I began to invest heavily in myself, my personal development, intellect, skincare, health, things of that sort, I noticed something very interesting, that the relationships I would once be privileged to enjoy now gravitated towards me, and they felt it was a privilege to be with me. So every single one of you have different versions locked up, but the consciousness is what attracts it. So the lady you are chasing is most likely interested in a superior version of you. And frankly, I do not believe in approaching women. It's a complete waste of time. I only engage with girls who find me interesting. To approach a lady means there's someone she's interested in and you're trying to convince her you're the person for her. It's a very stupid position to find yourself in. It's only poor men and men who do not believe in themselves that tries to convince a woman of their value. As I am now, the value is there. If you're not interested in me, then go. The value is there. If you're not interested, then you can leave. I'm not in the lifestyle of begging people to stay or apologizing. In fact, very recently, I've been so locked in that I rarely engage with women. So recently, it's no longer the case. And I noticed how manipulative women can be. A lady called me one time and I was in the bathroom. I hear my phone ringing. I ignored it. So finally, when I came out and I picked up the phone, it was like, hello, how are you doing? Oh, I'm downstairs. You're downstairs. You didn't tell me you're coming. Well, I'm downstairs. All right, give me some minutes. I'm still freshening up. And I dropped the phone. So 10 minutes later, this person is calling and calling and calling. I just had to round up and I went downstairs. Why did you keep me here? And all those kind of gaslighting. And I said to this woman, you didn't tell me you were coming. You dressed up, you painted your face, you put on your clothes, you got into an Uber or whatever means of transportation. You did not call me until you arrived. So it's a privilege for me to come down and see you. Mind you, before now, she was asking for an apology for keeping out there. So that was my response. Most men go, oh, sorry, sorry for what? Sorry for coming down to see you impromptu. It's very unfortunate. And I recall a lady telling me one time, even if I'm wrong, you should apologize. Even if I'm wrong, you should apologize. For what? Please understand. She says, even if I'm wrong, I should still apologize. You did something wrong, and I should apologize for your shortcomings. I don't understand any other way to cock a man than those experiences. But the point I want to highlight is to invest in yourself, invest in your values, and you'll be fine. As always, my friends, a pleasure speaking to you. I'll see you in the next one.